Now, realistically, this brings us on to one of the next issues, which is, where am I going to mount this? That needs to be somewhere easily accessible, but also that isn't going to get in the way. I'd like to have it away somewhere so that it doesn't advertise the fact that the car has a slightly bigger stereo and an amplifier in the boot. I'm not going to mount it in the cup holder. I don't think that really is going to work. And the sad thing is, there's not really anywhere for it to fit in there. If it sits in, it's going to start covering things. I guess I could put it there, but that's probably going to interfere with the handbrake, which is not really ideal. And again, anywhere down the sides is going to get in the way of the seat runners. One of my preferred approaches would probably be to put it in the ashtray, but it's just a bit too big. Aha, now there's an option. If I put it up there, it'd be nice and out of the way, and you'd never know. I thought it was worth sharing with you. Off camera, I've been running this RJ11 cable for the base control knob and trying to get it through this really tight hole here. It's not gone well, not gonna lie. And this is one of the things, is you watch these shows on YouTube, you see a lot of people doing a lot of things, and it all just seems to come together for them. It is real, these things do happen. Luckily, I have RJ11 termination kit, and I'm fairly sure I've got an RJ11 plug somewhere. I will go and have a dig for that at some point. So I'm going to keep running this particular cable all the way to the front. But yeah, not exactly brilliant. Not the finest moment. It is what it is. Okay, so a couple of screws later, and I have an RUX. Now, I'm going to tuck this cable away for a couple of reasons, one of which I don't have the subwoofer to install yet. I know it's coming. And two of which I don't know where the cable is. The cable and tools, which doesn't really matter because if you don't have the subwoofer anyway, what's the point? Now, in the true spirit of all of these sort of videos, refitting is the reverse of removal. And really, it's time for us to refit. You can see I have dragged all of these speaker cables up to the front of the car. Now, a lot of people will run them straight to the doors and straight to the speakers. For me, I don't want to chop the factory harness. That's my big thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to splice in at the back here where I have some cables that are not factory original. There's a bit of an extension harness there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to plug all of these pieces back in, and then I am going to see if this new stereo actually produces any sound. Let's get this slot back together so that all we have to deal with is this, and the car is again usable, because at the moment probably not want to be driving it like this. Tune in next week to watch an entire episode of a man openly weeping, grown man, when he realizes that it's taken him an entire day to get a couple of cables from here to there. Okay, so the next job is we need to reconnect all of this centerpiece. Now, obviously, this is the first piece. We have the climate control. I don't really want to give power back to the car without plugging that back in, because I've got a horrible feeling that what it's going to do is shriek about what it can't see. And I don't have the stuff to clear all of those errors. It's fairly easy. Stuff just goes back where it came out. Now, before I actually finish this job, I am going to pick up all of these bits and I'm going to run this center console piece back on, because all of the wires and the new wiring loom that I've created off the bottom of it need to run the entire length of under here as well. So let's just get those there before I push that home. So, we've been through, we've got just about everything back together. We've got all the cables up here, so all I have to do now is clip that in. Cool. The next job I need to do is to get this lot plugged in. We've got one stereo around here somewhere, and on the back of it, it has a FACRA connector for a radio, which is there. We have this connector, which should go straight into the piece on the top there, which should be good. It does seem to have changer connectors, which is interesting because actually I wasn't convinced that I would get the changer to work on here. Maybe that's worth something figuring out as we go. So we'll get that in. And also we've got all the extra connectors and the USB stuff here. So let's get that one. Just going to put these out of the way there. Okay, let's give it a try. I'll turn you around so you can see. And immediately we have some life, which is a really good start. And I'm still able to control the HVAC system, which is brilliant. It's good to know. I have heard that the boot times on these units are exceedingly long, so let's see what happens. And there we go. Well, it seems like we've already got some sort of homepage. I'm going to turn this off, close the lid because I think we're about to get some rain, and we'll get back on it inside the car. Shit. So I said I'd bring you along for the ride, and with the threat of rain, I closed up the roof, and here we go. Realistically, what I wanted to do first was get some music out of it, and that really is where we come into this point. Now, I can't quite screw it in just yet, but I can balance it there. And a quick check shows me you can actually see what's going on. So how about we try it out and see how it gets on? I mean, that immediately is a much quicker boot. So that in itself is fantastic. I'm just going to turn it all off. And I'm going to check on the back here, because one of the things that I have installed, as you've seen, 1, 2, well, there you go. And just like that, it's all in. Here's the auxiliary cables, and I'd really like to give that a shot. I've got some royalty-free music, so YouTube won't get unhappy with it. So there's my red and white to black, which is absolutely fine. I'm just going to take a look on the back of the unit and make sure I get that into the right place. There we go. So, nice firm installation there. Let's see what happens. Now, that is at second click. Is it going to work at first click? It is going to work at first click, which is fantastic. Now, I have this extension lead, and I'm going to plug it into my center console, into the jack. And I have some music pre-prepared. Here we go. We have some royalty-free music. Now I'm going to take a look at, where are we, auxiliary. There we go, much better. Now you can hear that keeps playing. One of the things that I do need to do desperately is to try and sort out the sound quality. Now the sound in here is not great, hence one of the reasons we started this project. Yep, on the home screen. And this is one of the reasons why I actually picked up a head unit a bit like this, because I actually really want to be able to pump up the bass a little bit. And it lets me do that at the front and the back, which is fantastic. Well, there's certainly nowhere near enough bass in this for me, but what you may be able to hear is at least it's different, so it's a good start. We'll have a play and we'll go from there. There we go. Hopefully that will not be falling out anytime soon. As a side note, why is it that when you watch Top Gear, the roads are always clear, they are perfect, absolutely unspoiled, and any time I try and turn this camera on, I get stuck behind a tractor and a queue of traffic.